Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. Today is February 9th, 2026. I apologize for my raspy voice today. This is episode 25. This is not a cold, though I have a cold. This is screaming at the Patriots. And the halftime show. Just getting off the topic, boy, did the halftime show suck. Realize that the NFL is gearing towards new markets. Bad Bunny didn't understand a word he said, and I don't speak Spanish. But boy, the guy was like touching himself. It's like he had Tourette's. I just didn't think it was, for me, enjoyable. I didn't watch other shows elsewhere. We just sat around and laughed about how bad it was. So, all right, let's get going today. Today's topic, and I'm going to try to make it a very fast show. And Bob in New York, I appreciate your comments. Please leave more comments. I can always use a good laugh. Democrats, well, everyone leave a comment. And everyone who might be watching this, please subscribe or at least leave a comment. That's all. And I've had comments where, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And I'm fine with that. That is what YouTube should be. You could have a difference of opinion, and you could be civil about it. And you could say why. And then hopefully I explain why. Might not be to your satisfaction, but it will be accurate and it will be truthful. Okay, let's get to the heart of the story today. Democrats, including Schumer and Jeffries and Schiff, from the Senate, got on board today, and the last 4 or 5 days, not today. They've been against the Voters ID Act, which is called the SAVE Act. It has passed in the House of Representatives for congresspersons Jared Golden of Maine, Marie Gluesenkamp Perez of Washington State, Henry Kolar of Texas, and Ed Case of Hawaii. Broke ranks with their Democratic colleagues and voted for the SAFE Act. It is now on its way to the Senate, where Schumer has said that it, will fail there. And I kind of agree that it will fail there if it's brought to a vote right now. The Democrats' claim is that it's disenfranchises voters, which is absolutely false. Absolutely 100% false. It's a false narrative. And, I think out of the 214 Democrats in Congress, that only 4 voted for this. So theoretically, 210 of them stood with the party. And that happens. Republicans do it all the time, too. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's what they did. Okay? So Bob in New York, I'm not saying what they did was wrong. But when you look at today of what a citizen or guest here or anyone has to do in showing ID to continue a transaction or process, you have buy cigarettes, buy alcohol, buy lottery tickets, rent a car, engage in most banking activities. Drive a car, get a driver's license, rent an apartment, get on an airplane, apply for government benefits or programs. Enter as a hospital patient, get a passport, enter any federal building, enter a bar, get proofed for your age, gotta show ID. Get pulled over by the police, gotta show ID. Register at a hotel. A picture ID and a credit card, please. Mail certain items through the United States mail. Yeah, these are all things you must show ID for already. Passing through an immigration checkpoint when re-entering the United States. You have to do that. And the list can go on and on and on. I didn't want to just hang up on that. And that the Democrats saying is fine. Now, these aren't laws. Some of them are laws for certain states, and certain states have certain rights. And that's fine. That's the 10th Amendment. But the Democrats that have an issue with voter ID, we know why. And it has nothing to do with disenfranchising people. It honestly doesn't. And if that was their fear, then there are certain steps that could be taken to alleviate that fear. Remember, voting is a right. But you have to exercise that right. That means you have to get your butt out of a chair, register to vote, and if you could do that, then you can also go get voter ID. And people say, well, some people can't afford voter ID. Okay. All right. Let's look into that. And then, you'd have people on the other side, well, hold it. Because they're poor, they get it for free, but me, I might have to pay $5 for it, or go through my DMV to get real ID or whatever. Excuse me. Those hurdles can easily be overcome. Easily. The reason they don't want it is because it will stop non-citizens from voting. Now they go, well, no, hold it. The law already states that you must be a U.S. citizen to vote. But it's left up to the state to decide that, who gets it. And you have people being shown, that they bust in. Homeless people. And they go, they live in California, they have a right to vote. Or they live in Illinois, and and they have a right to vote. And they just show up and get a voter registration card that day, and off into the polling booth. They go. Into the voting booth, they go. So a lot of states do not accurately monitor that or do it. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And it has to stop. And the only way you can do that is by having a voter ID. And the Democrats are saying, well, those people don't have the means to do it. They just don't. So if they're getting EBT or they're getting some type of government assistance, why can't that be tagged onto their card? And then when they go down to vote, they have to be registered, and they take these people in to get them to vote and tell them how they should vote. Just put that on their card, citizen. This is my ID. I get EBT. I'm a citizen. And if that card doesn't have citizen on it, they should not be getting a voter ID or a voter registration card. And of course, the green cards and things like that. That's fine because these people are already listed, and you know that if you have a green card, you have a right to be here and you're applying for citizenship, but you're not a citizen yet. So there's a lot of reasons in the back that the Democrats don't want a voter ID law. It takes another tool out of their tool bag, which is cheating. They also are fighting this. They know this is going to come. They do know it's going to come. And what they're trying to do is the 30 or 40 million illegals now that are here, stall for time, get them into programs, maybe accelerate the time period, rush it through because they have kids here, which makes those children citizens as of today. And you might be able to expedite that. That's what they're fighting for. To get those people that they allowed in here illegally, to get them on the voter roll. It's a stalling process, allowing for illegals the time to now apply for a green card and then citizenship. The problem is many of these people never went through one of our vetting centers to even be registered. So they might lose them because it's hard to go, well, now, what do you do? But when they say they're going to disenfranchise, and that puts a much greater burden on them, on their right to vote. Well, many politicians have no problem adding things onto gun laws, making it harder and harder and harder to legitimately own a gun. You see all the time. They have no problem bogging down that process of my Second Amendment right to own a gun. And while I do think some gun laws are necessary and are appropriate, the wording in the Constitution is very clear about it. You can own a gun. Period. If you're a citizen, you can own a gun. Then they pass things, if you're a felon, if you did this, if you did that, if the gun does this, or the gun can act as that. And then they started to do, you can't buy ammunition for the gun. You buy the gun, good, have at it. You can't buy the ammunition for it. Or you can't have a clip that has more than X amount of rounds in it. Again, that is where they start interfering again with like the Second Amendment and innovation. You had a gun that only shot one bullet, and then you had to sit there and reload it and something. They came out with the cartridge bullet. Ching, click, click, single bolt, king, click, click. And you put another one in, and then they figured out, hey, we know how to make a magazine that you can put 6 bullets in. Or a pistol, 6-shooter, 8-shooter. And that was innovation of a gun. There's nothing in here that stops you from innovating a gun. It just says you can own a gun. And this is where the states come into and they go, well, it's not. You can own a gun and it can only be a black powder gun, or it can only be a gun that shoots 1 bullet at a time. So you must stay in the 1630s, or whatever gun was in 1786. So they take the innovation of these guns and tag things on it and have no problem with that. But when it comes to the right to vote, nope, can't be touched. Or the states have the right to touch it, not the federal government. They had no issues with adding regulations on citizens attending colleges. You had to have a quota. You had to let this happen. Remember that? No, we went out. No problem with that. They did affirmative action, which they ruled against, but they did do that. The Democrats had no problem with halting and massaging your rights. But when it comes to a voter ID, oh, that's a bridge too far. And you could do all this easily through DMVs, any of the government programs, benefit office that you go to. You apply for Social Security, you show your citizenship, you were born here, because that's what it takes to be born here. So you're born here, you're a citizen, and you could take your Social Security card that says citizen on it, and even though that can't be used as an ID, you could take that down to voter registration, and they accept that, and now you got a card with your picture on it, and you can vote. The same thing with DMV. DMV could very easily be updated to do that. They do it with Real ID. It's not hard to carry it forward. Then you have them, oh, well, that might cost them $5. It might cost them $10. The right to vote is permitted for all citizens. And the idea that you were citizens if you were born here, this is very, very easy to go uphill with and get a voter ID law. Crazy simple. And crazy simple to manage. And as I said, the Democrats saying, we already have this, we already do this. And the problem with it is there's so much fraud in the paper side of it. And we've seen it. Mail-in ballots. You would have to take, and I've had to do that, I've had to send photos of my driver's license and everything on it to do certain things. Hell, you got to do it in some states if you want to look at pornography. You have to give proof that who you are. So again, these are not, oh my God, the burden. And to me, looking at pornography is a First Amendment right. But you can choose to and you can choose not to. The idea of saying that it is burdensome. Well, some people are too lazy to get out and get a job. Some people are too lazy to get up and walk to the refrigerator. But no one's stopping them from doing it. They just don't want to do it. It's the same issue as voting. If you want to vote, this is what you need to do. No one's going to stop you if you're a citizen. But we have to know who's voting. And who's making a request for a piece of paper saying, I want to vote. Because we'll take your voter ID little registration number and put that on there. And if we get two of them, one of them ain't going to count. We can stop the fraud. We could stop the appearance of fraud. We could make the voters feel they're getting a fair shake. 89% of all the voters want a voter ID law. Unheard of in getting laws. 95% Republicans want it. 71% of the Republicans want it. 71% of the Democrats want it. Take those numbers, you come up with a number. There you go. And the Democrats are saying, no, we know better. And again, the Democrats, no, we know better. No, you know that you've used the insecurity of that system to screw with it. So, citizens have to show ID, like I said, in motor vehicle, just about every place you go. And like I said, you could have agencies set up where they can verify this and send you on your way. When I went to get a driver's license here in South Carolina, I had to go to Social Security to show so that a federal agency said who I was. Get a thing that we visited, they did it, boom, boom, and I had to show that at motor vehicle. And it was annoying at first, and then realizing why. And then you realize why so many arrests were made of people driving without a driver's license in South Carolina. And not that South Carolina, at least in my area, did anything draconian to these people. They take them to the magistrate. No driver's license, Hector. $175 fine. Out you go again. And they'd be driving. no insurance, $250, you get proof of insurance now. So they go to the general, they get 1 month ID thing on it, and off they go. They pay a $300 fine, and off they go. It was a money machine. The police down here knew that they got paid on Thursdays. And then the illegals with no driver's license knew, Pancho over here, who has a driver's license from some other state, get him behind the wheel. Get pulled over. And they did that. And down here, it was bad. Illegals were, when I say bad, they were all over, building houses, and petty crime was up. But South Carolina, around my area, always had petty crime. It's nothing new. Car break-ins, house break-ins, vandalism, no different than anywhere else. You have Democrats like Schumer and Jeffries and Schiff who get out there and scream why you can't have voter ID. And come the midterms and all the advertising. Now remember, most voters have anywhere between a 30 and 90 day memory. And if they're going to do early voter, like in September, believe me, in August, you're going to see these ads coming out full force in those states. So, the SAVE Act, which is H.R. 22, subsection S, 128, has a low probability of passing in the Senate with roughly a 20% chance of enactment, as it stands right now. Because in that act are other things that Republicans did not want, that in the House they gave just to get the act going. And remember, despite this act being it passed in 2025 in April, it still requires 60 votes in the Senate to overcome a filibuster. And it's being stalled. And I said 89%, it's 83% of the voters support requiring proof of citizenship, which everyone is, Democrat politicians are screaming about. So this bill has been blocked in the Senate for almost 300 days. It is going to be hard for this bill to get passed. And the Democrats get to say, we didn't kill it. Your own people killed it. They didn't vote on it. They could have all stood. And they will all stand. All the Republicans will stand on this, but two. And maybe two independents and a couple of other Democrats. It will be enough that you can't get 60. And you'd have a filibuster. And no one wants to see that, because that just becomes stupid. That just becomes stupid. But what the American voters should be going to those senators in their states and go, we want this passed. We want this passed. And even if there's stupid, crazy legislation in there that this gets tagged to, And there is crazy legislation in there that will make it hard. But then it should be pulled out that it needs to go back to the House, get cleaned up. And that will be a process again. And the only way we can do that is by keeping the House and adding seats to it. The prospects of that, because California changed theirs, going to add 7. Texas might add 17 to offset their 7. New York's in play. Pennsylvania's in play. A lot of places that were blue could be facing a hard time. Mostly in Maine. Minnesota has a chance of adding seats because of the fraud. Why do you think all that's coming out now? The American voters should go to their Democratic reps and go, we want a voter ID bill. Just make a voter ID bill. Don't tag anything else to it. Or we're not going to vote for you. You would see a change, and you would see them getting a little bit more engaged. And this is what needs to be done. The Republicans need to be sending to their colleagues, we want this done, but not that we destroy other agencies or other things. So you better work with the Democrats on certain things, and these other stuff that you know is really bad, you got to get them off and say, you need something to add to the stew here. We're willing to do it. But if you think adding stones to the stew is going to get it passed, that's not going to happen. You know, we're not going to allow you to do that. And you take it back and you take it. They don't want a voter ID law because they keep wanting to add rocks to that stew. And everyone knows rocks are bad. You don't eat rocks. All right? That's what needs to get done. Will it? Who knows? But telling the voters that it's you're disenfranchising people is a lie. Is an outright lie. And the Democrats love lying. They enjoy doing it. They smile when they do it. They know when they're doing it. We know when they're doing it. We need voter ID cards. It's that simple. We need it. Real quick to get off, I did 30 minutes of this, and it's all about anyone can stand of it. Last week, a cartoon went out with Obama and his wife, faces overlaid by, being gorillas. Yeah, I wouldn't have done it and put it out there as on my Truth Social type of thing if I was president. I just wouldn't do it. I'd have other people do it, but I wouldn't do it. But then you see all these political people out there putting up, orange Trump, distorted pictures of Trump, baby Trump, or Trump in diapers, and all this other stuff. So, it becomes fair game for them to do it, and it just shouldn't be done. But there's always been cartoon political stuff going way back. And I go, one of the best places you could look for politics in what I would call our modern times. Go back into the mid 1800s, 1850s, 1840s, and start look at your Harper weeklies and Harper monthlies, and start reading the stories going on and the political cartoons that they would put in there, and almost as bad, almost as bad. So that's been part of the rhetoric. The difference was a lot of people didn't read back then, and a lot of people didn't buy the newspapers that back then. It wasn't as prevalent as now going on the internet and having it brought right into your focus. So, would I have done that? No. Would I have had someone else do it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I blame the president for it? No. No, because there's been so much stuff out there that it doesn't matter. These people today, little thin-skinned, mostly the stuff they've been doing. Epstein files, again, the Democrats are hoping to ride that into an election. Not looking too good for them. Not looking too good for them. And you have these political pundits and researchers saying it's going to be a massacre for the for the Republicans. Boom, 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 boom. The loyalty among Trump supporters. Now, of course, Trump is not running, so it's hard for you to say because states are states, of course, but it is the matter of how much red they're going to put back into it. I think the Democrats they know they're in trouble. They know that they're in big trouble. And it will be the last 2 or 3 months for the House of Representatives to kind of figure out what's going to happen, how bad it can be for anyone. But it's going to be bad for the Democrats. The Senate, I'd like us to pick up 4 seats. And I said to Brother Don that I would do that. Unfortunately, today is probably going to be my last show for about a week. Again, there are reasons in play here that I can't do my show. Probably next Monday or Tuesday, we'll be back in business. But as of then, I might try to. I've never used my cell phone to do it and play with it and push it and edit it. But I might give that a try tonight, just a practice run to see how it looks. Can't be that hard. Everyone does it. But we shall see. We shall see. And with that, as always, please give to a charity of your choice. If you're reluctant to do that, please give to a food bank. Food banks always need food. They always need money. And it goes very local. Say a prayer. Prayer does work no matter what a Democrat may tell you. And with that, looks like everything has been working so far. We're at the 40-minute mark. 10 minutes longer than I thought that I wanted to talk about this crap. All right. And with that, I'm going to fade to